How's it going, everybody? This is Bronco Juggalo, and I am doing day 4 of Brother Peanut Butter's Thankskilling Challenge. Today's movie category is Italian horror, and I am doing one that I've never seen before. And just a quick warning, there will be spoilers in this. So if you don't want spoilers, go check out this movie real quick. You can actually find it on YouTube. It is there for free on YouTube, and it is called Graveyard Disturbance. It is a 1987 horror film directed by Lamberto Bava. Why does that name sound familiar, you may ask? Because he is the son of acclaimed Italian film director Mario Bava. Now, for this video, before I get started, I want to give a huge shout out to my buddy Dave Maggot, Sean Urshan, and Hellhound, who helped me find this movie, especially Dave Maggot, who pointed me directly at this film. So thank you very much, Dave. Thank you to Sean and Hellhound, too, for throwing in your suggestions and trying to give me some help on this. 5 teens who are stranded in the middle of nowhere are challenged by an innkeeper. If they will spend one night in a cursed and haunted crypt and survive, they will receive this giant pot of treasure. It has all kinds of stuff in it, gold, jewelry, even cash and credit cards. And they take him up on the bet. This is an Italian horror comedy. So one of the things that struck me about this film is that there are 5 characters, and these characters, there's 3 guys, 2 girls, but they remind me so much of the Scooby-Doo gang. No, there's no dog, but their personalities are just like Scooby-Doo, and I wonder if Lamberto Bava knew that when he made this. I wonder if they made that. I wonder if it was made that way on purpose. You have Robin, who is flat out Fred. He's your leader. He's blonde and he's kind of jockey. And he's Fred. You have Tina, who is Velma. She is slightly smarter than Mickey. She wears glasses, and you can just tell with her personality she would be Daphne. And then you have Mickey, who is, yes, she's blonde instead of redhead, but she is Daphne. She is the hot, pretty one. Trust me, she's Daphne. Then you have Johnny and you have Dave. Dave is Shaggy, flat out. And Johnny is so Scooby. So yeah, from now on, I'm just going to call them the Scooby Gang. An interesting fact about this movie is this was actually a made-for-TV movie. It was also known as A Night in a Cemetery. And I think that kind of lends to the whole Scooby-Doo thing because it was made for TV. I almost think it was made, in my opinion, it comes off as very kid-like, made for kids is what I mean. Like, kind of like Are You Afraid of the Dark or something was for, Nickelodeon kids of my age growing up. This movie has that feel of being aimed a little bit towards kids. Not scary at all. Most definitely not scary. I have some pros and cons, guys. Okay, con number 1. None of the monsters in this movie are dangerous. None of them. They just kind of stand there. They don't do anything really that is dangerous. They walk up to them and then they walk away. They look at them. There's nothing dangerous about it. It's that also lends to that. I think this might have been made for kids theory. Now, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Italian horror movies, so this could have been aimed at adults for all I know. I just get that impression. My second con is that our 2 female characters, remember what I said, Daphne and Velma, even though if you remember, Velma was really smart, in this, they do not seem smart at all. I mean, the 2 female characters are so dumb. And they are just, like, to me, stereotypical bimbo dumb characters. Dumb blondes, basically. Even though one of them's not a blonde. And I wonder if, especially in the 80s, that's what Italian horror directors and horror writers thought of girls at the time in the horror genre. There was nothing strong about them at all. There was nothing intellectually. There was nothing intellectually progressive about them. They were very dumb and they were very, very annoying. A small nitpicky, and it's not really even a con with the movie itself. It's that, unfortunately, because I did watch it on YouTube, I had to watch it in English. That's the only language that was available that I could find. And the dubbing is not very good, and I'm not a fan of dubbing. I've said this many times. For most things, if it's a foreign movie or from a foreign country or based in a foreign country, I like to watch it in the language it's supposed to be in, and I wish this would have been in Italian with subtitles. I think it would have been a much better experience. And the final con I have for this movie is the ending. Definitely tell that they were trying to give the impression in the last 20 minutes of the movie that the kids were already dead and all this was them just in the afterlife. And then they get out of the tunnel and they escape the situation, and they escape the final baddie, who happens to be the Grim Reaper, who looks absolutely terrible. I like his look better before he took the mask off. It's the innkeeper. The innkeeper is the big baddie at the end. And all he does is stand there, shuffle up to them, take a scythe, is holding it upside down to walk with on a cane. It's not very, not very imposing in my opinion. Not very intimidating. And he just stands there, but they're all looking all scared and cowering until one of them, I think it's Shaggy, I'm just going to call him Shaggy, picks up a dagger and stabs the dude with it. And then the next frame, they're coming out of a cave where they weren't in a cave. They were inside of the tavern. And that made no sense. So as they come out of the cave and it's daylight and they're all yay, 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 the cops come and they arrest them for earlier in the movie they had done some shoplifting. And then it just ends right there. And that's it. And I was like, okay, that made no sense. They were obviously building towards the fact that they were already dead, but then they weren't already dead. And the cops just pick them up, and that's it, and nothing else. Didn't really get that at all. Jumping into my pros. First pro in this is the music. Very 1980s. Reminded me a lot of the Karate Kid. And the end credits act, the song that's playing is actually one I remember from the 80s. I don't remember what it's called, though. But the music, the score of the movie just really felt Karate Kiddish to me. It just gave me that impression. Every time I heard it, I expected to see Daniel-san pop around the freaking corner, This movie was definitely 80s, and it had an 80s vibe and an 80s feel to it. It was definitely made in the 80s, obviously. And I like the 80s vibe it gives you, but it also gives you a lot of really cool old Gothic creepy moments. Old Gothic buildings, the mansion, okay, after their vehicle breaks down and they're walking, trying to find some place to, rest and camp, they come across an old Gothic looking mansion. And it looks awesome. And you could really tell they were really going in on the old Gothic look. And they were really playing up the smoke machine in this one. Everything just reminded me of those old 1940s and 30s and 50s. And even maybe the Hammer films. That old Gothic style look of those old Dracula movies and stuff. And I really enjoyed that part. And then when you mixed it with that 80s culture, it worked really well. I actually really enjoyed that. One of my next pros is there is a fancy dinner scene in the middle of the crypt, the graveyard or whatever, where there's a family of monsters. And like a couple of them look like zombies. One of them kind of looks like a troll. The mom or the woman, and they're all dressed all really nice and fancy. And you can tell they're kind of hoity-toity, with the exception of one of the kids who is wearing a Kiss t-shirt and like a studded, wristband and stuff like that. And I thought that was really funny. But the mom or the wife or woman or whatever, She has like 8 eyes, and her forehead's really extended, and it's just and they're really cool, good-looking monsters. But in this scene, they're sitting down to eat, and they're eating all this really gross-looking foods, and it's real bugs and things like that. And, fake bugs too, but then you can see like the worms are moving and their grubs are moving, and it looks really gross, and it's really interesting because they're all, all snotty and hoity-toity and stuff. And then the humans come busting in, and they are all more afraid of the humans. They all take off running, scared. And I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. And it is yet another example of where the 80s meets that kind of old look, and it really worked again. But as I said in my cons, none of the monsters in this were scary. None of the monsters were threatening really towards the humans. And a lot of the times they seem more scared of the humans than the humans did of them, which I found very funny, even though the girls were always scared, even though there was nothing going on. But yet at the same time they're scared, they can catch some sleep in the middle of a freaking crypt that's got monsters teeming all around them. They can all lay down and take a nap. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I will say that the movie was kind of fun. It was a little slow, but it was kind of fun. And, if I was a kid in the 80s, I might have really liked this. I might have really dug it. It did kind of give me that, like I said, that Nickelodeon, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps kind of feel, because there was no real menace. It was almost like we were watching a ghost story that wasn't really a very good ghost story. But, it's funny that this was directed by Lamberto Bava, who actually became a pretty acclaimed director in his own right. He worked on a lot of films. He worked on Zombie, things like that, I just forgot his name. I can't pronounce it right now. Anyways, he worked on Zombie, and then he worked on, which is actually Zombie 2. He worked with Argento on a few films, things like that. And he did a lot of stuff of his own, and he's a pretty acclaimed director over in Italy, or at least he was. I just thought it was funny that this TV movie he did had a very, kind of Nickelodeon feel to it. Kind of out of his wheelhouse for the type of movies they usually made. All in all, though, I say if you want to watch something kind of different and kind of trippy, because a lot of the times throughout the film, I was sitting there thinking, like, what the fuck is going on? Why are they doing this? What the hell is going on there? What's going on here? Why are they listening and following? Why are they putting the ditzy dumb blonde in charge? What is going on in this movie? I thought it was hilarious at the same time that it was frustrating. So if you want to watch something that's definitely interesting, not exactly scary, not exactly filled with, but it'll give you a couple chuckles, and if you're high, it'll probably give you a lot of laughs. But definitely check it out. Just think of it as Scooby-Doo. Think of it as live-action Scooby-Doo. In fact, I'll say that it was better than the actual live-action Scooby-Doo movie. Just picture Scooby as a human, and that's what you got here, okay? So this is it for day 4, guys, of the Thankskilling challenge from Brother Peanut Butter. Coming up tomorrow, day 5, we have a Japanese or Korean horror film. And I got a good one lined up for you there. So come back and check it out with me tomorrow. And in the meantime, peace.